There was a St. Louis connection to Hellenbach, the second item on STL Opera Collective's double bill. The 11-year-old one-act opera was commissioned by former St. Louisan Nicholas McGeegan, one of the founders of the much-missed Holy Roman Repertory Company when he was at Washington University. He's now one of the brightest luminaries in classical music, especially early music and original performance practices. De Hellenbach was commissioned to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the Philharmonia Baroque Orchestra of San Francisco and the 20th anniversary of McGeegan's association with the orchestra. The commission went to J. Kigi, the brilliant composer of the opera Dead Man Walking. The Philharmonia Baroque specializes in historically informed performances of early music using period instruments and vocal techniques, but there's no reason why the orchestra's sonorities can't be used for new music as well. He acknowledged the history of the orchestra by looking to mythology for inspiration, as composers of Baroque operas often did. Higgie's collaborator, Jean Shear, ultimately chose to base the libretto on the myth of Persephone. She was abducted by her uncle, Hades, who made her the queen of the underworld. The loss of Persephone was a crushing blow to her mother, Demeter, the goddess of the harvest. Not until Persephone was allowed to return from the underworld for 6 months a year did the earth become fertile again. The story of winter's origin, however, is not what captured Shear's imagination. Instead, he saw the myth as a story of abuse and created characters who are both mythic and modern. The Persephone figure is Stephanie, the survivor of a brutally abusive marriage to Peter, whose name derives from Pluto, the Roman counterpart of Hades. Stephanie's advocate in this story is not her mother, but Peter's mother, Anne, who helped Stephanie get out of their very small town in Appalachia and into a safe place in Arizona. At the start of the opera, Stephanie calls to find out whether Anne has received the story Stephanie wrote while in rehab. Anne's great burden is coping with the knowledge that the son she can't stop loving is responsible for Stephanie's plight. In one sitting, I could not absorb as much of the libretto as I would have liked, but I was moved by Higgie's music and the excellent performances by Hannah Abrams as Stephanie, Stephanie Ruggles as Anne, and Nancy Mayo, who was the sensitive, collaborative pianist in both operas. Curtis Shoemake was again the director as well as the designer of the set that worked well for both operas. It would be interesting to hear the opera played live by an orchestra like the Philharmonia Baroque, but for now we have to be grateful to STL Opera Collective for letting us experience the opera as best we could.
Yes, an imaginative treatment of it, certainly, if a little confusing in some ways. Why don't we hear some of this music?
Really